Deep down, you've always felt the call. Like you were sent here for something more. This is your chance to do something big. The Spin Positive Revolution is here. Welcome to the Spin Positive Revolution, where we're going to combine our collective spiritual magic to kick the absolute shit out of the dark mojo dragging down humanity, and we're not going to stop until every molecule of dark mojo has been absolutely destroyed. My name is Mojoe Mike, and I live to do one thing, and that is kick the absolute shit out of dark mojo. It's my thing. It's what I have dedicated my life to doing. In fact, I build powerful spiritual warriors called warrior lightworkers to help me kick the shit out of dark mojo, and I do that through my book series, the Spin Positive Master Series, where I lead you to unlock 100% of your spiritual power, not only so you can turn it loose in your own life to make incredible things happen, but so you can also turn it loose in the world around you and help raise the collective vibration of humanity overall. I'd love for you to be the next Mojo Master, and I'd also love for you to be in the Spin Positive Light Force. That is my spiritual army that I'm building to go head-to-head with the dark mojo directly in ways like it's never been done before. I tell you, my friend, we are going to win the spiritual war. The light will win the spiritual war to come. To be in the Spin Positive Light Force, you've got to be an official blue level master of the core enlightenment of Spin Positive. No big deal. Head on over to spinpositive.com and it'll tell you exactly what you got to do. As a light worker already, you are a powerful spiritual being. And I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy life to help us fight the Spin Positive Revolution. We can't do it without you. We need all of the available light workers we can muster to combine our collective energy to make incredible things happen. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and the universe thanks you too. You can expect good fortune to befall you in your experience as a payment from the universe for helping the universe and helping us all fight the Spin Positive Revolution. And congratulations to everyone who has been setting the intentions. We've been doing this since June 1st. And right now we've got thousands of people declaring their powerful intention set every day. And it's definitely making a difference. All of a sudden now the oppressive administration in power is having a hard time getting things done, and they are being thwarted at every turn. Even some of their base is rising up against them. Now, what are we intending for in our declarations? We are intending for the global awakening of humanity, first and foremost. That's our primary objective, and it seems to me it's working. There are more people on the right who are being awakened to the fact that their side is on the wrong side of history every day. In fact, it's blowing my mind how many people are coming up to me and saying, I used to be MAGA, but all of a sudden I had this realization that such and such happened and it wasn't what I thought, or whatever their individual situation might be, and they're coming over to the light. And that's amazing, because every human being is intended to be a light worker. Every human being is intended to be on our side. So all we got to do is plant those seeds of truth, even in spirits that are against what we're talking about. You plant that seed of truth, and it can grow into the tree of wisdom that leads them on their own path of enlightenment. And that's incredible. And that's what we want to do. We want to continue to plant those seeds of wisdom, keep speaking truth into the face of power, and bring more and more people to our side. It's amazing. The revolution is already working. Imagine what we're going to be able to accomplish when we have millions of people. Right now we have thousands, and I'm thankful for everyone. Thank you. But the goal is 200 million. Imagine what we will be able to accomplish collectively when 200 million of us are putting our collective energy toward the same outcome. We are powerful as deities. We certainly are. And when we put our collective energy together, we are super powerful. 200 million of us would be so powerful, it's hard for me to even envision how much power we'd have. Because at the Spin Positive Institute, we've done exercises with 4 or 5, 6 people at a time. And we've seen the results. Even having 5 or 6 people concentrate their intentive efforts towards, we've seen amazing outcomes. I can only imagine what will happen when we have millions. That's going to be amazing. And so keep setting those intention sets. Visualize that light bulb burning off that tar. We talked about that in the previous episode. Imagine that. Visualize that. And every time we do, more dark mojo is being thwarted and grounded by spiritual forces and contracts unseen by us and unknown to us. That shit's happening in the background. just by us taking that initiative and asking for universal help in making stuff happen. It's going to respond. The universe isn't going to intercede on our behalf without having us ask it to. It doesn't work like that. We've got to direct it. We've got to put it into play. And once we do, it goes to work. And that's exactly what these powerful intention sets are doing. They are specifically engineered through the Spin Positive Institute to accomplish 100% of the goals of the Spin Positive Revolution, and they are working. Okay, in the last episode, we talked about our primary objective, our prime objective, which is that overarching mission of the Spin Positive Revolution, which is primarily geared around intending for the global awakening of humanity. Once that occurs, the two other parts of the first objective will be met, and we will automatically see the dissolution of all oppressive systems, and we'll also see humanity coming together for the first time in our recorded history to create the ideal society for humanity. It's out there. It can be done. We can actually build a society that works for 100% of us instead of just 10%. That's the goal. We have that roadmap in the Core Enlightenment of Spin Positive. It's out there. We know exactly what our society should look like. When the time is right, we're going to put together the smartest minds in the world that work toward that sort of thing to iron it all out and to figure out exactly what it is we need to do given our space in history today to bring about what's in the Core Enlightenment. What's in there will improve the lives of 90% of the people on this planet by a long sight. So we're excited to see that happen. We're going to continue to push for that to happen by declaring these powerful intention sets every day. Today, we're going to talk about our secondary objective. That day in my garden, when I was given that big download of information from the universe, I was given three main objectives of the Spin Positive Revolution. Of course, the first is global awakening. Today, we're going to talk about the secondary objective. We call that Operation Founder's Fury, and it deals directly with what's happening in America right now. Operation Founder's Fury will have us concentrating our intentive power to thwart the conservative takeover of the American government. We've got to combine our power and focus our power in throwing as many roadblocks on the path of the conservative takeover of America as we can. This is very important. We do not want the conservatives to take over America in the manner they are now. We're going to add another little stanza to our intention set to declare our intention that we want to thwart. And we want the universe and our higher powers to thwart that conservative takeover in any way we can. Here's what the conservative agenda wants to do and why it's so important that we thwart this. This isn't just some minor change of how things operate in America. That's not what they're doing. That's not what the plan is. What we're seeing play out with the conservative agenda and with Project 2025 and all that is a 50-year plan to coup the American government from the inside out. They've been working on this plan since the 70s. They've been putting people in place in the government, and right now, they've got enough people in places of power in the government to steamroll their agenda over the rest of us, and that's the plan, and that's what they're doing right now. In fact, there's websites devoted to the tracking of Project 2025, and they are steaming right along and making all that happen. Now, we know what's written in Project 2025 is going to be disastrous for non-conservatives and for people who don't agree with their way of thinking. It changes our way of life in very negative ways. We don't like that, but that's only the first three pillars. The fourth pillar is this. They want an entire new nation to be born out of the ashes of America. Their plan is, and what Project 2025 does is, it completely dissolves and destroys America as we know it. All the democratic institutions that we've built up until now are going to be destroyed and going to be dissolved. And in the place, they want to build a whole new nation, complete with a new name and a new constitution. You know, that jackoff from the Heritage Foundation wasn't lying when he said the Second American Revolution will remain bloodless if the left allows it. They intend an entire revolution. They will change the basic structure of America in such ways it won't even be called America anymore. They want a new Christian theocracy to take place where everything is founded by Christian morals and Christian theology, and all the people who hold power are white male Christians. That's what they want to have happen, and that's what they're working toward right now. They also want to get rid of everyone who doesn't agree with them, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Why do you think they're building this big ICE thing, this big, huge federal police force? It's not simply to deal with immigrants. There's not that big of an immigration problem. That's all a ruse. That's all a lie. That's fictitious and made up. That's not real. It is simply an excuse to build this huge, massive domestic police force that's under federal control. And as soon as they have the power, they're going to start coming after everybody who disagrees with them. So if you are not MAGA, you will get a visit from ICE at some point in your experience. They're going to try to cart you off and take you somewhere. Well, they want to remove your ability to stand against them in any way. They want to remove your ability to protest, and they want to remove your ability to do anything to thwart what they are doing. And they're going to do that. And they're going to come after us in a big way. They're going to come after us. Why? We're the awakened. Lightworkers are awakened individuals. We are awakened to what's happening in a greater degree than the average Joe. We understand things. We understand the oppression. It's put in our spirit to fight the oppression. That's a big thing we do as lightworkers, is try to spread light. That's our thing. Against the darkness that's oppressing us and taking over everything. That's what we do. They don't like that. They're not going to allow us to function. We are the woke they are afraid of. Mark my words today. Write it down. We are the woke they are afraid of. They're going to come after us as soon as they can because we understand things. We fight against it. We speak real spiritual truth into the hearts of our brothers and sisters. And when we plant those seeds of truth, they begin to grow into trees of wisdom that crack their old foundation of understanding and the way that they knew things before and start building in its place something new and better and more comprehensive and real. And once those enlightenment seeds begin to bloom and the truth blooms in their spirit, they can't ignore it anymore. It nags at them, just like it did for me at the beginning of my revolution and the beginning of my awakening. I was introduced to a bunch of wisdom that I didn't agree with. I didn't appreciate the core enlightenment at first. It was condemning of a lot of things that I stood for. I didn't like it. It was hard on religion. It was hard on capitalism. Two things that made up the foundation of my experience at that point. I didn't like it. But the seeds of truth were planted in my spirit, and they grew. I couldn't shake them. It clouded the way that I saw things. It contradicted the things I was being told through the media and through the oppressive institutions. But my spirit knew that the enlightenment was truth. And so I began to gravitate toward the truth because I couldn't ignore it. It took over my foundation of understanding. Most people, not everybody, but most people are designed in such a way that they seek the truth and they want to follow the truth because the truth gives us a feeling of completion in our spirit and a feeling of wholeness, like a piece of the puzzle has been added to our understanding of reality in a way that fiction does not. We seek out those pieces of truth. We do. And most people want to follow the truth. Some people don't. Some people don't care. Some people will follow the dark agenda no matter what. We are all born as light workers. We are all born warriors of light. And as such, we tend to gravitate toward the light and we tend to gravitate toward the truth. So it's important that we continue to speak those words of truth to the people around us. Keep speaking to them what's happening and how it affects them and what's really going on. Those seeds will be planted. And more people will come to our side, and that's what we need. We're going to focus our intentive power. We're going to add a stanza to our intention set to thwart the conservative takeover of the United States in any way we can. We're going to ask for our higher powers to get involved supernaturally and do whatever they can to thwart what's happening. There are actually two separate groups that are working from within the American government right now to coup it and to take it over. And both of them have nefarious ideas of what society should look like for the working class on the other side. Both are trying to coup America. Both are trying to dissolve America and break it down and really bankrupt it so that they have to build something new. That's the plan. We're going to talk about that in a minute if we get some time to today, about how they plan on bringing America down. There's only one way they can do it and truly get away with it, and we've got it figured out. We're going to talk about that here. But these two groups are both working for that. One, of course, is the Heritage Foundation, and they are working toward Christo-fascism. They want to see America turned into this Christo-fascist state where everything is guided by Christian principles and only white Christians have power. Now, we also have working on the inside right now the techno-billionaires, the folks like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. If you're unaware, Peter Thiel is the sole reason why J.D. Vance is in politics at all. He's personally funded his entire political career to put him into the position where he is right now as vice president. Peter Thiel will even admit to you that what he wants to do isn't popular enough to get elected. So they couldn't get elected with their platform. They needed to use some other puppet to get elected. And when they saw the fervor behind Donald Trump, that's who they latched on to. The Heritage Foundation latched on to him to get elected to do Project 2025. The Techno-Feudalist, as we call them, because that's what they want to do, they want to build a system of Techno-Feudalism where there is a ruling class and a working class that has no rights and no power whatsoever. That's what they want to build. They want to take us back to feudalism where there are kings and serfs. And of course, the 10% that rule today will be the kings and the 90% will be the serfs, just like it's always been. It's just going to look different. It's going to be way more oppressive for the average person, but that's the goal. They want to build these network states, and they want to dissolve any sort of national everything and just have these little pockets of network states where each network state is controlled and governed by a corporation. And instead of having a government, it'll just be your corporate overlords. You know, essentially what every dystopian sci-fi movie has ever been about is what they want to do. And Peter Thiel has even said that we don't care if humanity survives because ultimately, for whatever fucking reason, they want technology to survive. Huh. That's an interesting development to learn that, isn't it? They don't even care if humans survive. They want technology to survive. That's weird. I can't figure out where in the hell that comes from unless maybe they ain't from here. I don't know. Maybe there is such thing as lizard people. Who the fuck knows? But who the hell would work toward getting rid of humanity altogether? Anyway, that's their goal. They want technology to rule. And in their thing, the techno-feudalism, technology will rule. It'll be the governing force of everything, and we will be surveilled to the nth degree. Every breath you take will be recorded by the government. They're going to follow you everywhere. You're not going to have any rights. You'll just be a robot going to work and coming home. That's what they want. That is a little bit different than what the Christo-fascists want. So at some point, they're going to have to battle it out to see who wins at the end and who really ultimately takes control and gets to do what they want to do. Because they can't both do what they want to do, but they're both working toward it now. The conservative takeover, it's not just happening in America. It's happening all around the world. This authoritarian conservative takeover is trying to happen all over the world. It is a natural function of the modern Mojoe mess. I talk about it in my book here. If you want to know all about it and where it came from and how it got here and how we deal with it, it's all in this book, Volume 1, the Spin Positive Master Series, The Universe's Guide to Mastering Your Power. This book right here will teach you how to be the most powerful spiritual being you can be, while at the same time severing any negative contracts stealing away your power today. I suggest you pick it up. I suggest you do it soon, too, because the price point is going to increase at some point in the near future. I fought hard for the $34.95 price tag. It's actually $29.99 or $29.95 if you buy it on TikTok or use the discount on the website. I fought hard for that price. The publisher wants to charge twice as much than what we're charging. They actually want to charge $54.95, I think, for the book. But I fought hard to keep it this price, but I won't be able to keep it this low forever. So pick up that copy. It's Core Enlightenment. It is wisdom given to us by a higher power that wants humanity to survive what's about to come. It's invaluable information. I'm not exaggerating when I say the Core Enlightenment of Spin Positive is the most powerful wisdom ever assembled in one place for humanity, and I'm proud to be the curator of it. And I hope I'm doing a good job of getting it out to humanity. I'm doing what I'm told. Every day I wake up and I go, what are we doing today, God? And it gives me my marching orders and we go to town. So I'm doing what it wants me to do to get this out, and hopefully we get it in as many hands as we can, because I'm telling you, this enlightenment is powerful for humanity. It will absolutely change the trajectory of humanity's future if we put it into play. The conservative takeover is a natural progression of the modern Mojoe mess. There are two main forces that have propelled the modern Mojoe mess and built it into what it is today. And both of those forces are found within the conservative movement in a big way. Those two forces are religion and greed. Those two forces, if you took them off the planet Earth today and we got rid of them and we woke up tomorrow and there was no more religion and no more greed, the world would be a better place overnight, and you would see immediately humanity begin to come together in the manner it's intended to be, because we are intended to work as one giant community, all working together toward a common goal and all helping each other out in a big giant community type way. That's how we are intended to be. Greed makes us all individualists, and it separates us from our true calling as a community-based collective. It really does. So if we got rid of greed, that'd be gone. and we would start coming back together as a community. And then if we got rid of religion, we'd all immediately enjoy 100% of our full spiritual power all over again. And that's what humanity needs. Religion steals our power away in a big, big way. And humanity's not realized that. And unfortunately, 84% of the world's population follows a religion. So 84% of the world's population is spiritually dead inside, essentially, because religion steals so much of your power away and actually gives it to the entities that are oppressing us as a humanity. And I think that's easy to see. If you look around, more bad shit has been caused on this planet because of religion, well, and greed, than really any other factors. Religion has caused more headaches, certainly, than it's solved. I'm not sure that it's solved anything, especially when you distill out the fact that most of it is bullshit. There is no such thing as original sin. There is no such thing as heaven or hell. You're not going to go to hell when you die. I promise you that much. It's a ruse. It's a lie. It's a red herring. Religion was created to give us the illusion that someone is fighting the good fight for the light, but it's not. Religion solely works for the darkness. It's an oppressive institution working to oppress humanity. It's its job. And to cause us to create dark mojo through negative emotions like stress and guilt, because we're always worried about whether we're going to make it to heaven. That's guilt, that's stress, that's oppressive. And then, of course, it also steals away our power, which is hugely oppressive to us. It is by far the most destructive, oppressive institution out of the three. Out of the three, we have political systems, economic systems, and organized religion. Organized religion has done more damage than any of the others. And unfortunately, humanity believes it's the savior. In fact, humanity is waiting for some religious savior to come save us. Most religions say someday some savior is going to come and save humanity, and that's horseshit. Humanity must save itself, period. And the more that humanity waits for something, some supernatural event to save it, the more free reign dark mojo has here on this planet to do what it's doing. And that's exactly why we're in the shape we are in. Religion has stolen away our power. It's stolen away our spiritual understanding. It's instilled upon us this pall of oppressive blindness that prevents us from seeing our oppression, prevents us from seeing our oppressors and how they work, which prevents us from fighting our oppression in any meaningful way. That's all because of religion. The conservative movement is basically religion and greed on steroids. The religion thing is something they just did because they had to. The people who are truly pushing the conservative agenda aren't religious in any way. I don't believe most of them. There are some who are, but most of them I don't believe it. I think they just co-opted religion so they could stay in power. And then the conservative movement, of course, is unrestrained greed in a big way. What's the conservative platform? When you boil it all down, all they really give a shit about, take the religion shit away because, again, that's a red herring. It's all about a free market. It's all about keeping the government out of business and no regulation for businesses and no taxes for business and no taxes for the wealthy. That's all they care about. That's the platform of the Republicans. That's an oppressive platform for the working class. It blows my mind that there's a single working class person who supports the Republican agenda. It really does. Because, yes, if you're a working class person, and you vote GOP, you are voting against your best interest. Absolutely. When they have their way, and they'll have it now, you're going to have fewer rights at work. You're going to get paid less. Your dollar's going to be worth less. They're going to tank the economy, all that sort of thing. They are the worst possible thing for the working class. Yet, because of religion in a big way, and because they've co-opted religion in the 80s, a lot of the working class feels obligated to vote conservative because they go to church. And that was brilliant by the GOP to co-opt the evangelical movement. That's what solidifies a good portion of the working class vote, is the fact that the working class believes the GOP is Christian and the party of God. How you could ever believe that when you see the oppressive evil shit they do is beyond me. And let me tell you, the conservative movement is pure fucking evil. Pure evil to its core. And it intends to do evil and heinous things to humanity. We're going to see that now. We're already seeing that with these ICE raids. The conservative movement is an evil movement. It's a function of the modern mojo mess as that dark mojo has built up and caused us to be oppressively blind. More people follow the conservative movement. The conservative movement gains steam. And that's why it's taken over today. The modern mojo mess has reached a boiling point to where if we don't do something about it, if we don't take care of the evil energy on the planet, of the dark mojo, the negative energy, it's going to destroy humanity. We will not have a future. This is our final season if we don't get the next few years right. We will go down roads that we can't recover from if we don't turn things around. So it's imperative that we stop the conservative movement in its tracks. That unrestrained greed will kill the planet, I promise you. Greed is an infectious disease. It is an addiction. It's a mental illness. And that is the driving factor behind the conservative movement, period. It's all about greed. You can take the religious shit away. It's really about greed. It's about power. Mark my words when I say that greed will be the force that destroys humanity, without a doubt. Greedy people make horrible decisions, and greedy people together, collectively, make even worse decisions. And when you're dealing with American businesses and American capitalism, you're dealing with some of the greediest motherfuckers on earth. And I'm not just someone saying that from my mom's basement. I've been involved in the business world for 35 years. I've sat in the highest seats of business, so I understand a little something about capitalism. I'm telling you, it's a destructive force that will destroy this planet. So there's also a third force that is behind the conservative movement, but it's not one of the official forces. Like the two in power right now, you have the religious side with the Heritage Foundation, and you have the greedy side with the techno-billionaires. Those are the two main forces. But then you also have the hate agenda. And a lot of people follow conservatives because they satisfy that hate need in them, because the conservative agenda does hateful, evil shit, like steal people off the streets and cut people off their insurance and health care and all this other evil shit just to make rich people richer. That's evil shit any way you slice it. This is America. It's a democracy. And democracy must be built on empathy and around empathy if it is to survive, period. We've got to take care of each other for the democracy to flourish, and that goes against conservative values. It's easy to see when you boil it down just how evil the conservative agenda is at its core. I'm no fan of the Democrats either. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I was a Republican up until 2012. I was highly active in the Republican Party. My dad was big in the Republican Party, and I was brought up in the Republican Party, going to all the events and functions and things. And I was Republican until my awakening. After my awakening, I couldn't justify it anymore because it became apparent to me just how evil that platform is. And the greedy, evil shit that it does, and in the name it does it in, is purely fucking greed. I couldn't back it anymore. I had to make other decisions for my life. And I think that as more and more people become awakened, they move away from the Republican platform. You almost have to, because your awakening provides you with perfect guidance and truth about what's happening around you. And if you've got any empathy at all, and if you have any conscience at all, then you can't do things that oppress your fellow man without having some sort of pang of conscience. And I started to have those. I thought the GOP was the right thing for a long time. I was brought up to hate Democrats. After my awakening, I had to make other choices, and a lot of people do. That's why they don't like us. That's why they are definitely going to come after us, because when we speak truth to people, it leads them away from the Republican Party. Of course, there are some people who are so oppressively blind that you can speak truth to them until you're blue in the face, and they will never understand it. They will never be able to wrap their head around it. That's because of that level of oppressive blindness. That's why it's imperative that we keep burning that off as we visualize that light bulb burning. We're burning off that oppressive blindness. We're burning off that dark mojo. We're allowing the light of humanity to shine through that layer of tar. And the more of that we burn off, the more that current conservatives are going to awaken and see the light. And it's working because it's happening. They're losing support every day. More and more people are coming to our side, and we haven't even started the intention in force yet to fight against what's happening in America. That's coming now with our new intention set. Intending and declaring intentions for the awakening of humanity is bringing people to our side. The conservative movement is backed by dark mojo because the forces of greed and religion, those two forces alone, cause the creation of more dark mojo from humanity and from all living things, not just humanity, but from all living things, than any other forces. Remember, what dark mojo wants, and the modern mojo mess's goal is to create more dark mojo, because the more dark mojo that's created, the more humanity is oppressed, and the more humanity is blind to its true path. Do you think humanity is on its right path today, where we trade away the best hours and years of our lives in exchange for a wage? No, we're not on the path at all. We're so far off the path that you'd be surprised to learn what our path really is. It looks a lot different than what we're doing today. And the more people who awaken to the fact that what we're doing, this whole wage slave thing where 10% of the people benefit and 90% of the people are oppressed, we learn right away as we awaken that that's bullshit and humanity deserves better. They will fight that with everything they have in them. That's why I say we are the woke they're afraid of. We lead people away from them. But those two forces, greed and religion, are the two most oppressive forces on the planet. For the awakened, that's easy to see. We see how those forces are oppressive. But I'll talk about that in later episodes, I'm sure, some more. But those are the two most oppressive forces on the planet. Of course, the conservative movement that is backed by evil is pushing those two things because they create the most dark mojo. They feed the dark mojo entities the most. Now, I'm not saying that the Democrats are any better. The entire political system in America and the entire economic system in America is oppressive to the working class. You bet it is. And the Democrats, they work for the same people the Republicans do. They're nothing more than managed opposition, and they've always have been. That's why nothing happens in America for the working class overall. You know, they'll throw us some bones every now and then, but nothing of any real consequence. It's all an illusion to make the working class believe they have a say in what's going on, when we really don't. The entire system is engineered and ran by the 10%. They make all the decisions and call all the shots. The working class has no power, and we never have had. It's all an illusion, unfortunately. So the entire political system is a sham. The people, the working class, needs a party all of its own. If this system is to endure, the working class must create a party all of its own and take over everything if it's going to endure. Otherwise, we're going to be subjugated to some pretty hard times here in the future. I'm going to talk about that in a later episode. Like I said, I know capitalism really well. You don't get to do the shit that I've gotten to do in capitalism unless you understand it really well. And I've said forever that capitalism at some point will eat itself. Absolutely, especially unregulated capitalism like we're fighting for here in America. That's unrestrained greed. It will eat itself. Why? Because the greedy make shitty fucking decisions, and they are very short-sighted, just like any other addict. Because greed is just an addiction when you boil it down and you analyze that behavior. Greed is just another addiction. And just like any other addiction, like the heroin addict doesn't make good choices when it's trying to get its next fix. The greedy don't make good choices to get their next fixed either. They don't give a shit about the long-term stability of anything around them. They only worry about getting that next zing. It's the same thing. I've seen it forever. I've watched that greed bug develop in people, and it's an ugly thing. And it completely consumes their lives, just like any other addiction will. And unfortunately, we have the greediest motherfuckers on earth running things right now. And so there's no stop loss against heinous shit happen to the working class. It's going to happen. The people in power now, pushing everything with this conservative takeover of the world, they're puppets. They're being controlled by evil puppet masters, by dark mojo puppet masters. Even Tucker Carlson said that he believes that the only thing that makes sense is that the people in power are being ran and influenced by evil entities. He said that himself. It blew my mind to hear him say that. But he's right. The people in power are being directed by evil entities. And until humanity understands fully what that is and how it works, we'll always live under the pall of oppression that those entities provide us. The good thing is, the core enlightenment gives us the roadmap to victory. Every word of it gets us one step closer to victory. So we have the roadmap. All we got to do is put it into play. Because ultimately, dark mojo is a weak-ass energy. Okay? It is weak compared to our light. And once we decide to put our light against it, watch it. It'll scurry and scatter like roaches because it knows how powerful we are. So all we got to do is start showing our ass as the powerful motherfuckers we are. And these bullies will turn tail and run. You'll see a lot of that will happen in the years to come. Because we're fighting back now like we never have. And I explained in the last episode why Lightworkers must fight the fight. Because most of us do not follow an organized religion. We're spiritual people. We have our own thing going on. We follow our higher power. We do our own thing. It's not religious. We haven't entered into those religious contracts that steal away our power. We are simply the only ones with the power left to fight the fight. That's why we will be public enemy number one. And watch, stick with me. I will show you how we'll concentrate our power and how we make things happen. Of course, Tucker Carlson does have it wrong in that he says that religion will be the savior of humanity and beat the evil forces that are puppeting the people in charge. And of course, that's not going to happen. That's wrong. Religion is part of the problem. I think that's pretty easy for us to come to the conclusion of when you figure if 84% of the world's population considers themselves religious, and so if 84% of the world's population were really being led by the light in the same manner that you and I are, do you really think we'd be in the shape we're in as humanity? Do you really think the world would be in the shape it's in if that were true? Absolutely not. Of course, everybody goes, well, my religion's the right one, and the other 6,999 are wrong. Guess again, all 7,000 religions are horseshit, and all 7,000 religions steal away your power. None of them are right. None of them tell the real story. So until we can dissolve those away and bring people back to the light, we're going to have an uphill battle. But the good news is that it only takes 2.5% of the world's population to make shit happen and to usher in that global awakening that we talked about in the last episode. So there's 16% of people unaffiliated with religion. We need 2.5% of those. That's all we need to make things happen. I think that's a doable thing. I think we can certainly accomplish that. And again, I thank you for being here. Please share this mission with any other light workers that you think would be a good fit, that you know are powerful, and that you know are working for the light. We need as many light workers as we can. Keep it on the down low, but share it nonetheless. Thank you. So we got to defeat the conservative takeover because it is, again, driven by religion, greed, and hate. 3 oppressive forces that we cannot have in power, period. We're going to concentrate our power with our expanded intention set. Are you tired of getting kicked around by life? Is your experience getting harder instead of easier to navigate? Fight back and master your life with the Spin Positive Master Series, a 6-volume book series leading you into your highest being. I call it the Martial Art for Life Mastery, available now at spinpositive.com. Each volume reveals another level of powerful wisdom called Core Enlightenment. It makes up the foundation of the Spin Positive Master Series. This wisdom guides you step by step to achieve your highest purpose. Begin your self-help revolution for life mastery today with the Spin Positive Master Series. Become the next Blue Level Master as you unlock your power with Volume 1, The Universe's Guide to Mastering Your Power. It's perfect guidance to become the powerful person you were intended to be. Available now at spinpositive.com. Get your copy today at spinpositive.com. Now, can we prevent it altogether? I don't know if we can prevent it, but I know we can delay it. And our goal right now is to delay it as much as we can. Because what they want to do is, their goal is to have this new country built and to have the announcement for this new thing they're building ready by July 4th, 2026. Next summer, they hope to have this announcement for their new thing. And they hope to have everything torn apart by then to announce this new thing they want to build. So we've got to get cracking on this. We've got less than a year to fight for the thwarting of that takeover. We want to prolong that as long as we can. Can we prevent it? Maybe. I don't know. I was given a vision many years ago that showed a Christo-fascist takeover of America. So I'm kind of impartial to believe that in some manner, this Christo-fascism thing is going to take hold. And maybe that's the network state thing too. I don't know. It was a hugely different society that I was shown. And it was backed by Christian theology. Very oppressive, very akin to The Handmaid's Tale, what I was shown. I was shown that back in 2011. Of course, I thought that sort of thing was generations away. Little did I know that merely 5 years later, we would start marching down the road toward Christo-fascism with Donald Trump's first election. If you would have told me that in 2011, I would have never believed it until this Donald Trump thing happened. And he became the puppet that the Heritage Foundation saw as the driving vehicle for Project 2025. And they vowed that if he gets reelected, they're going to be ready to pounce. And sure enough, they worked hard and they got ready. They got everything ready that they needed to have ready for his 2024 election. And they've wasted no time bringing this Christo-fascist reality into play. We don't want conservatives in power. Here's why. Here's a big reason why we don't want conservatives in power. Conservatives lack empathy. And we need empathy in order to be governed appropriately. The people who govern us must have empathy. There are people in our society that need help and that cannot function or work in the manner that the conservatives want them to. That's our job as a society to take care of those. We need to be empathetic to the needs of others. There is no empathy on the conservative side. So it's going to be a very cold and hateful reality when they finally build the perfect theological system that they're looking for. It'll be devoid of any empathy whatsoever. It'll be devoid of any social services whatsoever. And that is bullshit. That is ridiculous. We should be evolving into a more progressive society as time goes on. Human beings are intended to be progressive. I've spoken about this at length. We are intended to constantly learn new stuff and apply that new knowledge into our lives to drive us forward. We're not intended to be stuck in the past or always be regressing to the past, and that's what conservatives want. They want to take us back to earlier days when they had more power. They really want to take us back to feudalism. They're proving that. So they're regressive when humanity is intended to be progressive. And we are intended to constantly learn new things. You've got a purpose in life, and that purpose is incredible. And you are intended to learn whatever novel information is all about your purpose, apply it to your life, and share it with humanity. Just like I learned the core enlightenment, applied it to my life, now I share it with you. You've got core enlightenment to learn as well, to apply to your life and share with humanity. Every single one of us has a purpose, an incredible purpose. And it isn't to go to work, pay bills, and die, let me tell you. Of course, our purposes have nothing to do with stamping widgets. So our purposes have been hidden from us. That's a big reason why our spiritual power has been hidden from us, so that we can't discover the path of our purpose, and that we must go stamp widgets just to survive. That's the system they've designed. That's not how we are intended to be at all. Yeah, we are intended to be progressive all the time, learning new stuff and applying it to our lives. And as we learn this, it advances us along our evolutionary arc. Essentially, for the past 10,000 years, human beings have been stuck in their evolutionary arc, mostly because of religion. That's been a big factor of keeping us in the Stone Ages and keeping us from progressing. Religion gives you some 2,000-year-old book and says this is how you're supposed to live. That's horseshit. That's not how you're supposed to live at all. We're supposed to live how we are supposed to live for today, to learn what we need to learn for today, to apply it to our experience, to advance humanity down its evolutionary arc. Dark forces have prevented that. Dark forces that we are going to fight until it is no more have prevented that. Obviously for nefarious reasons, to keep us off the path of our purpose. In fact, the conservative movement is what it is, and the modern Mojoe mess is what it is, primarily because of greed. And I'm going to spend a whole nother episode talking about how greed has manifested in our society and how it's spread. It is an abnormal human behavior that got out of control, and everything we're seeing today, the destruction of the planet and everything else, is all because of this unrestrained greed. We have not policed it. We have not fought greed to the manner that it needs to be fought to prevent all this bullshit from happening. The way that I describe it is like this. Greed is not a normal human behavior. Greed is like an energetic virus. It is an energetic virus that was injected into humanity. A long time ago, this was injected into humanity. And since then, just like a virus spreads through the population, that energetic virus has spread throughout the population to the point today where virtually every one of us has at least a little bit of that greed seed in us. And it affects us. It affects every one of us in a negative way. It is that greed seed that prevents us from being the community players that we are intended to be. It's that greed seed that prevents us from being satisfied with the community living, with the communal style living we are intended to enjoy. We are all intended to live as one big community, helping each other and supporting each other and sharing the workload and sharing resources. That greed bug prevents that. It makes it so that is no longer satisfactory to us. And then we begin to seek more power for ourselves primarily, and more power for the things we're into, and steal that power away from the community. That's what greed does. And that's what has happened to humanity, and it's gotten so far out of whack now. Greed is like any other addiction. It is insatiable. The greedy cannot be satisfied. If they reach a goal, there's a new goal. There's always more. They aren't satisfied until they have it all. And that's what we're dealing with today. The 10% of the population who currently control 70% of the wealth, they want 90% of the wealth. So this push that we're seeing right now and what we're seeing with this administration is setting up a giant wealth transfer to make that 90-10 split happen. They're not going to be satisfied then either. They'll still want more. Even when they get 90%, then they'll want it all. And imagine what that looks like for us. Think about how bad the working class is struggling right now, enjoying only 30% of the wealth. Imagine if we only had 10% to split between us, what that looks like. That's what we're in for. That's what the future looks like for us if we don't thwart this conservative takeover. We definitely need empathy in our governance. And when the conservatives are in power, it's obvious there's no empathy. Look at the things they've done already. Look at what they're doing to the immigrants. Look at what they're doing to the less fortunate people who rely on government services. Look what they're doing. That is a lack of empathy. In fact, the evangelical community is even beginning to call empathy a sin. Can you believe it? And you're telling me it's not evil. They're calling empathy a sin. And they have to justify the optics of what they're doing. They have to have some reason to get away with what they're doing. Because do you think Jesus, their big head hero guy, do you think he'd be kicking people off Medicare? I don't think so. I think he'd be doing the opposite. I think he'd be going the Medicare for all route, don't you? If I'm reading things right, that's where I would put his position. Do you think he'd be rounding up immigrants and kicking them out the way that and doing it in such a horrific way and dividing families and breaking apart families and putting people in concentration camps? Is that a Jesus move? I don't think so. The Jesus people are in power. That goes to show you how absolutely ridiculous religion is. We don't need it. There is literally only one rule you have to follow to receive spiritual guidance and spiritual benefits and spiritual gifts from your higher power. That rule is easy. It's called the golden rule. Treat all living things with love and respect. That's all you got to do. The closer you follow the golden rule, the more spiritual power you will have and the more spiritual help you will have in your life. It's that simple. I talk about it in detail right here in this book. Get that book while you can, man. I'm telling you, this will be on the banned book list for sure. The golden rule, that's all you need. You don't need an old archaic book telling you about who pays the penalty if your slaves are raped and all that bullshit that's in there. There's some horse shit in the Bible. I'll tell you, there really is. And I was training to be a pastor at one time. Don't forget, I'm not someone who's always blasted religion. I was highly religious at one point in my life. It was the most important thing in my life for many years. But again, I couldn't shake what the Enlightenment was telling me, and it was telling me that my way was wrong and my way was dark. I couldn't shake that. And of course, my higher power showed me as I went through my revolution just how dark it was and why it was dark. And when you start thinking about things on an energetic level, and you start analyzing things from the point of positive energy or negative energy, and that's the most important thing we can do, is to examine and evaluate everything we do on the basis of, does this build positive energy or does this build negative energy? Things become apparent, really apparent, when you start evaluating the energetic consequences of the things we do or the things we believe. And it's very easy to see just how negative a lot of religious thinking is, especially for those who don't agree with the religion. And so that's what I started doing. I evaluate everything even to this day. When I'm making a decision about whether to support something or not, I think about the energetic consequences and which position is more energetically positive for humanity in the long run. And then that's the position I'll support every time. Because everything does boil down to energy on this planet. Not only are we fighting an energetic war, we're an energetic species. And the more you understand energy and the more you can manipulate energy, the easier your experience is and the more enjoyable your experience is. My book series is all about energy, learning about it, mastering it, and learning how to manipulate it. At the same time, learning how to protect yourself from the negative energy around you. And once you have those skills, you've truly mastered your experience. That's the missing piece of the puzzle for humanity. We've got a lot of shit figured out. We didn't have the energy thing figured out until the Spin Positive Master Series. It explains it in detail, and it explains it in an easy way to where anybody can understand it. And when you understand it the way we lay out here, and you begin evaluating everything from an energetic standpoint, It's easy to see where the negative forces are, where the positive forces are. And then you can see just how dangerous things like religion are in the long run, because it does create a lot of negative energy for humanity with its oppression and with its oppressive policies and with its guilt policies. It's very easy to see the oppression and the negative energy in religion when you evaluate things from that point of view. So ultimately what the Heritage Foundation is pushing through and why they want to build this theocratic nation is they're actually in it to cause chaos. Both of these forces, the Heritage Foundation and the Techno-Feudalist, are accelerationists. Both of these forces want to break down America and bring about the end of America. In the Heritage Foundation, there are people in there who have written books about July 4th, 2026 being the expiration date for America. They want to bring it down. They want to build something new. Ultimately, what the Heritage Foundation wants to do is bring about enough chaos and destruction to bring about the rapture or the apocalypse. They want to cause enough chaos and destruction to usher in the apocalypse. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to accelerate the apocalypse because they believe it has to happen for the rapture to occur, which is a big important thing for them. The second coming of Christ and all that horse shit, which isn't going to happen because it's not real. They believe that's going to happen if they create this chaos that's described in the Bible, and they create this global instability that has to be there to set the stage for the apocalypse. And then the Techno-Feudalists are accelerationists because they want America gone altogether. They don't believe in democracy. Peter Thiel has said specifically and expressly that he does not believe in democracy. Democracy has ran its course. It's time for authoritarianism. So they want to get rid of the working class's ability to have a say in anything, whether that's in their political systems or their economic systems, as in workplace rules and regulations and health and safety and stuff like that. They want all that to go away. And they want the king, who is also in charge of the corporation, the CEO king, if you will, to be in control of everything and to make all the rules so that they can extract profits more efficiently from the working class, which ultimately will end up looking like some form of slavery, even more so than it does today. Yes, we are all slaves today in the 90%. I know that ruffles a lot of feathers, but it's true. We are slaves. How can you not consider yourself a slave if you have to trade away the best hours and years of your life in exchange for a wage to survive? If I got to give the best hours and years of my life away to somebody else, I'm a slave. I don't care how you define anything else. That's slavery. And we're all slaves today. We can't do whatever we want. We got to do what we're told. Otherwise, we can't eat. We don't have a house. That's slavery. But they want to bring about a new form of slavery where they pay us even less and we own even less. In fact, the Techno-Feudalists want us to have to rent everything we use, and everything in our daily lives will be rented. We won't own anything. That's their position. So either one, no matter who ends up winning this tug of war at the end, it's going to be shitty for the working class, and it's going to look dismal for the working class. That's why we must prevent this. We have to put our collective conscious effort together to prevent this takeover from happening in any way we can. We're going to do it by using this powerful intention set, and it's going to work. I would imagine we'll be able to thwart them many, many years before the takeover happens. Like I said, I was given a vision of this takeover years ago, and it did show America living under Christo-fascism. So something leads me to believe that the Christo-fascists are going to come away as the winners for some reason, because that's what was shown in my vision. The very last frame of my vision was kind of shocking. If you want to know what that was, check out my video on my prophecy. It's over on YouTube. Last frames of that prophecy were pretty fucked up. And the more that time goes on, the more it seems to me that frame, that last scene, is a possibility. Absolutely. In fact, I believe it's going to happen in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's preventable. Maybe if we do what we're going to do, we can prevent that from playing out. I hope so, because it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. And I know humanity deserves better. So we definitely don't want them to make their goal of July 4th, 2026. Do I believe they're going to make that goal anyway? No, I don't believe they will, because they're already pretty far behind on their Project 2025 timeline where they want to be. And that deadline was if they were right on track. So they're at least 6 months behind. And I would posit that the more we put our concentrative efforts towards thwarting this, the further out that takeover will happen. Maybe we can put it off a couple of years. We need to put it off so that we have more awakened people ready to pounce when the time is right. Because what's going to happen is, either way, these forces that are in power now are going to dissolve and tank the system. The system's going to go bye-bye. It's going to devolve. They're going to destroy the system. We've got to be ready and have enough enlightened, awakened people in the fight, fighting for the spin positive revolution, to be ready to build the proper system moving forward when that time comes. So we need to prolong it long enough so we can first begin the process of awakening people. We need to bring people together and unite the awakened, and we need to have an idea of what that ideal society looks like by the time they break everything down and by the time they're ready to spring this new thing on us. We got to be ready with a new thing all our own. And if we've got enough people behind us, then we can make a difference. And if we're speaking seeds of truth into our fellow brothers and sisters as time goes on, those seeds will bloom. And when the time comes, they too will be ready to support the thing that we're doing as opposed to whatever. Because I think we're going to reach a point where it's going to come down to the Christo-fascists have completely devolved everything to bring about their apocalypse. The apocalypse isn't going to happen. Everything's going to be all fucked up because they did that to bring about the apocalypse. Things are going to be so bad, that's when the Techno-Feudalists are going to be like, hey, we got this thing. It's called network states. It's this whole new thing we can try. And it'll look like a godsend from the outside at that point because things will be so chaotic and things will be so broken down and nothing will be function right. This will look like some path forward. If we don't have something ready to counter that when the time comes, our fellow brothers and sisters are going to latch on to those network states because they will seem like the only logical path forward. We got to have something ready to counter that when the time comes. It's that simple. So we got to put off this takeover as long as we can so we can get people involved, so we can get people awakened, united, and on the same page about what we need to do moving forward. That's why we have to thwart this. We want to be ready with our thing when the time comes. Okay, so on the website now, there's a new intention set. If you go to the Spin Positive Revolution page and scroll to the bottom, you'll see at the bottom there, objectives. We have our secondary objective set. We've added to it right after the stanza on the global awakening where we visualize the light bulb. Then we have this stanza that comes in. I call for the divine thwarting of any nefarious takeover of the United States government. With full force of my spiritual sovereignty, I summon my higher power to intervene in bold and supernatural ways, striking down every scheme aimed at further enslaving the light bearers of this world. Let snares entangle the feet of the oppressors, and may pitfalls rise in their timelines, unraveling every dark agenda. I decree the light shall rise, and its position shall be exalted in the years to come. And then we close out with an open heart. I give thanks. I am deeply grateful for this light, this path, and this purpose-filled life. So be it. So that's what we do. We still have one intention set we'll set every day. And then when we bring in our tertiary objective, that I'll talk about in the next episode, we'll add one more little stanza down here. We'll declare this every day while visualizing that light bulb burning off. We want to keep visualizing the same thing. I thought about changing the sigil for the next paragraph for the secondary objective, but I think we can just keep it all with that light bulb. I think that'll be the best thing to do because it all symbolizes the same thing. We want to get rid of that dark mojo. We want to get rid of that oppressive blindness, and visualizing that light bulb burning off is how we achieve that. So we want to continue to focus on that, even as we call for the divine thwarting of any nefarious takeover of the United States government. So download that new intention set. It's free, of course. The PDF is free. Download it. Put it in a sheet protector like I did so it doesn't get all fucked up. And then put it right wherever you meditate or wherever you charge your energy for the day, wherever you drink your coffee and get started. One of the first things you should do is declare this intention set. So not only do you kick the shit out of dark mojo early on and get that working for you all day, you also enjoy the protective power that these intentions provide for you, and that's very necessary. I'm telling you, Dark Mojo is going to come after every one of us in a big way. I can't even begin to tell you all the crazy negative bullshit that has happened around here since we began the Spin Positive Revolution. It's a spiritual thing, first and foremost, and the dark forces are not happy with this. They have tried really hard to prevent us from moving forward at every turn. Every step we take here is a laborious step, even with all the protective intentions we set every day and all the protective rituals and things we do around here. Dark Mojo is so powerful on this planet and has such a hold on everything that it still has the power to break through even all the stuff we do. But it only has that power because humanity is giving it that power. And the second we collectively decide to turn that power off, Dark Mojo is powerless immediately. We hold the power. The only power the darkness has is the power the light gives it. And that's really what makes us as frustrating as can be. That we are being oppressed by an entity that only has power to oppress us because we give it power to oppress us. Now that's true in the spiritual world, and that's true in our physical world too. We're being oppressed by the GOP because we've given them the power to oppress us. And unfortunately, there's a big chunk of humanity that is so oppressively blind they cannot see the evil in the GOP's ways. So they continue to give them power. Our only path forward and our only path to victory is the spiritual, energetic path, doing the things we're going to do behind the scenes using our spiritual power. That's the only way we can win. We're not voting these people out, and we're not going to beat them militarily. We're not going to beat them physically. We have to beat them spiritually and energetically. That's the only way we survive and the only way we win moving forward. Now, at some point, like we mentioned in the last episode, there's going to be a physical revolution. We'll pave the way for our physical revolutionaries with our spiritual power. Absolutely. But the physical part is a small part of what we're going to do to succeed. Most of it will happen behind the scenes in the energetic space because this is an energetic war first and foremost. This is good versus evil first and foremost. And we need light bearers to come forward in some organized, focused way that we are doing here. That's never been done before to fight the problem. That's what we're doing. That's the conservative plan. They want to build something new. They don't just want to change a few things about America. They want to get rid of it completely and build something new in its place, whether that's going to be a Christian theocracy or techno-feudalism is yet to be decided. It all depends on who wins the battle between the two of them when the time comes. But either way, when they go to spring something new on us, when everything is completely devolved, because they're going to break it down, it's going to happen. Things are going to devolve. We have to be ready to build something better and new in its place. And there's got to be enough of us on the same page when the time comes to make it happen. This is how we make it happen. I've got the roadmap. I promise you, I've got the roadmap. All we have to do is put in play the steps the universe has given us. That's all we got to do. Victory is guaranteed. And what we're doing here with declaring these intention sets, that is the first thing we're going to do. We've got a lot of other stuff planned too, and as soon as the universe tells me it's time to do it, we're going to do it, but things have to happen in a certain way. So again, we call this Operation Founders Fury because we don't think the founding fathers of America would be very happy with what's happening. We think they'd be furious with the fact that what they built is trying to be destroyed. And I'm sure they'd be furious about that, so we're calling it Operation Founders Fury. I have no doubt in my mind that Donald Trump has been sent here to break things down and burn things down. I believe he was the catalyst that was necessary for the evil forces to have what they need to do what they want to do, without a doubt. He has enabled this timeline to unfold in ways that I don't even think the light was prepared for. But humanity isn't completely doomed. We can thwart it. We can put it off as long as possible so we can awaken more people and we can empower more people. And then when the time comes, we can move forward with our own new thing that we've designed together. That's the plan. So be sure to begin that dialogue and start talking with other light workers who are involved with the SPR about what they think the ideal society for humanity would look like and some elements that they would like to see in whatever we build moving forward. And we'll start having those conversations. In fact, just in a couple of episodes, I'm going to share with you what's been shared with me so far, the outline, the plan, the framework that I've been given so far about what the ideal society looks like. I'll give you some of the key points of that to kind of guide you in your discussion, and so you can kick those around and see how those jive with what you think. Be sure to set those intentions every day. Once again, use that power, and we're going to start doing the group thing here pretty soon, where we have online group meditations. Those will be coming pretty soon. I think I'm going to start those after I get the next episode out, so I'll give you instructions on. I'll give you some more information on that in the next episode. Declare those intentions every day. Let's continue to kick the shit out of Dark Mojoe. Let's continue to thwart them. Let's continue to see good things happen for the light. Obviously, the oppressive administration is struggling. Things aren't going as easy for it as it once was, and they don't like that. That's why we're seeing this pushback. That's why we see troops in D.C. now. And the more we're successful, just be prepared, the more we succeed in what we're doing, the more oppressive shit we're going to see from the other side. We're going to see more troops on the street. We're going to see more oppressive executive orders and things like that, because they're going to lash out against us, trying to scare us into submission. We have to stay vigilant. We have to stay focused. This is spiritual warfare, my friend, and we are just now beginning to fight, and you're a powerful motherfucker. You alone could bring it all down if you put your mind to it and focused enough. I know you could, because you're that powerful. Imagine what we can do together when we intend for good things to happen for humanity. It's amazing. We can't do this without you. And of course, if you want to take your spiritual understanding and training further to the next level, begin your journey with the Spin Positive Master Series. Pick up your copy of Volume 1, The Universe's Guide to Mastering Your Power. Through it, you will unlock 100% of your spiritual and conscious power, and you will also sever any negative contracts, preventing you from wielding 100% of that power. And then you can take and use that power in your life and in the world around you. It's a wonderful thing. And then, of course, after you've gone through the material, then you are eligible to join the Spin Positive Light Force. And again, we would love to have you. We'd be honored to have you on board. We need as many like-minded people fighting for the light and going that extra step to kick the shit out of Dark Mojoe. We do some fun stuff. You can win awards and all kinds of stuff for your service. It's cool. It's just like being in the military, but it's a spiritual military where you can win medals and you go on campaigns. It's fun. It's like the spiritual scouts for adults, but it's fun. People dig it. We're having a lot of fun with it. I'd love to have you on board. Start today, Volume 1. Get your copy at spinpositive.com. While you're there, check out the podcast page for this episode. Make sure I didn't forget to say nothing here. If I did, I'll put it there. I'll also, on those pages, put any resources to help you further your understanding of whatever it is we talked about, or sources for some of the things that I share with you. I'll put on that page, so you always want to check those out to make sure you don't miss anything. You just never know what's going to be there, so check it out when you get the chance. I think that's just about it for this episode. We talked about thwarting the conservative takeover of America. That's the goal. The next episode, we will talk about our tertiary objective, the third and final main objective of the Spin Positive Revolution, and we'll get that woven into our intention set. And as we declare these intentions every day, we will weave that reality into the fabric of humanity's future. That's pretty exciting. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for adding your incredible power to the good fight. Again, we can't do it without you. Thank you so much. Until next time, brave warrior, stay safe out there and keep spinning positive.